how I got here. One of my first jobs was promoting nightclubs. I thought it was the dream job at the time. You can imagine, early 20s, just moved to London. I'm from Manchester originally. Was promoting clubs and bands. I thought it was the best thing until the business that I worked for went bust. So immediately I found myself without a job and thought, right, I'm going to take the first thing that comes along. Let's just get out there and earn some money. I've got to pay my rent. So I went off to an agency recommended by my sister, and they said, oh, we've got some lovely jobs in the city. So a bit like Ash, didn't know a thing about the city, but of course went along for the interview. And after a couple of interviews with some very straight-laced white guys in suits, they, funnily enough, went, oh, yeah, we quite fancy having this girl around the office. I found myself working for a PR company. And our job was to file end-of-year accounts to the stock exchange, to meet with analysts, to meet with media, to basically take them out for lunch, get them drunk, and try and make sure that you're the last one standing to remember exactly what they'd agreed to do for you in terms of following up for your clients. And I did that for probably about 2.5 years, but the great thing about it was that I learned an incredible work ethic. We were in the office at 6 o'clock in the morning. We often didn't leave till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. But the people, although the subject matter was not my cup of tea at all, the people that I worked with were absolutely incredible. But it was time to move on when I decided that probably I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. Otherwise, I'd probably be in burnout by the time I got to the age of 30. So off I went to work for one of our clients, a fashion company, where I went to do their in-house PR and learned not just about doing more on the financial side of things, but also learned a little bit about the consumer side. And that was the bit that I really loved. The idea of how you can promote a brand direct to the consumers, how you engage with the glossy magazines that I actually read, and how you can help create ambassadors for brands to move that forward. I then got an incredible opportunity to move on and work for the then creative director of London Fashion Week, a lady called Annette Worsley-Taylor, who was probably one of the fiercest women that I have ever met and worked for in my whole life, but had an incredibly kind heart and knew the subject matter inside out. So when I first went for an interview with her, she said, so what do you know about fashion? I said, oh, well, you know, I quite like a bit of Prada, quite like a bit of Jean-Paul Gaultier. And she said, yeah, what do you know about British fashion? So I was like racking my brain, oh, Jasper Conran, Betty Jackson. She said, okay, I'll give you 24 hours, go out, go do your research and come back and give me a critique of what you think the best of British fashion is. So I spent the next 24 hours running around the stores. Online wasn't particularly a thing that was accessible back in the 1997, it must have been, and took copious amounts of notes and pictures and went and presented to her the next day and found myself very luckily with a job being her right-hand woman. We launched the first website for London Fashion Week back in 1997. I hadn't got a clue what I was doing, but I had an incredible network of people around me that I could go and ask for advice, and friends that worked in the creative industries that I could call upon and say, listen, this website stuff, where do I start? Who do I speak to? And we won a Webby Award and went on to do lots of incredible print materials and campaigns for Fashion Week. I had a daughter along the way and got married, and so decided to move back to Manchester as part of the bringing up my daughter in probably a nicer environment than where I was living in London at the time, and started a PR company with a friend of mine. Again, completely went into it blindsided, didn't even think about what it was like to run my own business, and we just thought, of course, let's do this. Is that, you know, we're pretty good at this PR thing, is that we can get it off the ground. And we set up an office in a very small office in Manchester. And across our desk, again via a friend of ours, came the pitch for the launch of XFM radio station in Manchester. And we were sort of the wild card, just started up. Lots of big agencies had the opportunity to pitch. And so my friend and I and our one employee had to bring in all of our friends and family to be part of the pitch process. So when the guys of XFM arrived on our doorstep in our tiny little office in a back street in Manchester, there was, of course, us there with our presentation and our deck, knowing what we were going to pitch them, and every confidence that our ideas were great. But we had Gary from the bar down the road who was making the teas and coffees. We have my sister, who has been a key part of my career, I think, in building it, moving forward, being the one answering the door and pretending to be on the telephones, so that actually we looked like a bit more of an established operation than we were. And very fortunately, we won the pitch and were able to actually take on employees and be able to deliver on it. And as part of that, we delivered a Bezathon in Albert Square, which I'm very proud is in the Guinness Book of Records as the largest maraca ensemble, with Bez on stage performing to a whole crowd of people in Albert Square in Manchester, if you know the place. So incredibly fun times, but it was having my own business that gave me the opportunity to work once again with the British Fashion Council. And I took on the role in 2009 after having been a consultant for them for a couple of years and haven't looked back since, because I have the most incredible opportunity to work with really great creative talents. And of course, we've just come out of London Fashion Week. It was just 2 weeks ago when the world's influencers and media arrived in London to see the very best of Britain's creative talent. And as you sit front row, as I get to these days, did back in the day, and watch both our startup businesses, our brand builders, our established brands, the likes of Burberry, present their incredible creative collections, you get goosebumps when you think about all of the time and effort and energy that goes into these incredible creative businesses. But of course, those collections aren't the job of one person, and certainly aren't the job of one creative. It's a whole team that fits around them. If you think about, for the big brands, the teams in the office, the other designers, the other creatives. But for the startup businesses, it's a bit like it was when I started up. It's the friends, it's the family, it's Gary from the bar down the road helping out, pulling it all together. But also the stylists, the photographers, the lighting designers, the set designers, all these incredible creatives that come together for this one moment of that brand proposition that makes it a really exciting industry. And that collaboration is absolutely key. And the creative industries in the UK is a real rich source of inspiration for British fashion designers. And they collaborate quite often with the incredible talents from other walks of life, many of whom that they've met from the fashion colleges that they went to, from the art colleges, the networks they've built there, but through work, or just through introductions that they might have had the opportunity to meet at a reception or a gala event, or even someone that's come to their shows. And you see that reflected in the shows. You see the musicians, the artists, the creatives, they're peppered alongside all of those fashion editors there wanting to support and to collaborate with these incredible talents. So it's that collaboration that I'm really excited that Hiive is going to provide an opportunity for, that more and more young people and more other creators will have the opportunity to come together and to be able to find each other and collaborate in different ways. One of the standout moments for me during London Fashion Week was a film that Gareth Pugh had done with Ruth Hogben. And it formed a really stunning backdrop to Gareth's show, his 10-year anniversary, visually dynamic, and something then that lives on beyond the catwalk, something that can go viral and can live for a very long period of time, encapsulating that moment of the show. And the antithesis of that was a collaboration that Henry Holland did with Nick Thompson, which was where a whole series of collection filmed a spoof Japanese TV series, which all came into a mini film, which saw Henry himself superimposed into a video game, being Henry Holland TV Boxer, I think it was. But it's these moments and these collaborative opportunities that designers are now really searching for to find new ways to present their collections and new ways to engage a consumer, new ways to talk to the incredible fashion fans that we have, and new ways to really inspire a new generation of people coming through. So as part of this incredible creative network is that I hope that all of you really will get involved and that you will sign up and you'll be proactive. We have hundreds and hundreds of CVs that pass across our desks every day. And it is important that you make it stand out. It's important that you're succinct in what you're trying to, the point of view you're trying to put across. And then when you do get a foot in the door, that you have that opportunity to make your mark and make a difference and do that in a really good way. So echoing all the thoughts from Carline and from Ash, is that you do have to be the nicest person on earth. Because if you have a choice of 100 of people to employ, to come in for work experience, to work on a project, the last thing you want is someone that's difficult, who's going to be sat in the office and causing a bad atmosphere. Social media is something you should really think about. We get a lot of young people who come in, who support us working at London Fashion Week. And it's surprising the amount of people who will go out, get a little bit overexcited at the incredible parties that you have during London Fashion Week. And we'll call in the next day going, I've got flu. Whilst on social media at 4 o'clock that morning, you see them dancing on a table somewhere in a bar and thinking, gosh, that was a very quick onset of flu, wasn't it? So you know, these things aren't possibly as easy as they were back in my day, when you could potentially go out and no one would know where you'd been. It's very easy to track down. That you should absolutely work as hard as you can. Back to Carline's point, is that it is about the hours that you put in. It's about the energy and enthusiasm that you bring to the role. Is that quite often, as I said, is that those work experience individuals, the ones that work hard, the ones that are easy to work with, the ones that have a sense of humour, the ones that know their subject matter, will be invited back time and time and time again. And they'll be the first one you go to when you have a job opportunity. You'll think, God, Jess was brilliant. She was fantastic at that event. I wonder if she'd be interested in coming and working with us. So you have to think about making a difference every opportunity that you get. And I know that it's super tough, and I know that getting into the job that you want can often take time. And if I were to look back, as this probably is the dream job of my life, but I kind of went a very odd route to get here. Working hard, might I add, all along the way. But if you do know what you want, then go for it, and don't stop knocking on those doors, and don't stop trying to get a foot in the door, because the harder you try at it and the more enthusiastic you are, then the more likely you are to be successful.